There have been stories going around for a little while now about Captain Marvel's theatres and cinemas, or whatever you want to call them, are empty, or they're relatively empty compared to all of the record-breaking money that Captain Marvel's been making. There are conspiracies going around about whether or not Disney's been purchasing tickets and inflating the actual box office numbers, and that's why the theatres are empty. And there's obviously people on the other side saying that it's all crazy crackpots making up that the theatres were never empty, and you must be some sort of woman hater to even come up with the idea. Well, here's some actual proof. The theatres were empty. This is undeniable proof. Let's have a look. This here is not part of the proof as such. This is just anecdotal. I did put a video with this up about a week ago. This was, well, not quite a week ago, I guess. This was from last Saturday, just a local multiplex near me. These are the actual seat bookings after the film has started. So these aren't before the film has started. This is during the advertisement period for the film. So this is basically what the attendance was just at one of the places near me. Maybe this one's less empty or more empty than other ones. It doesn't really mean much, but there was some pictures that I posted just to go, well, this looks kind of empty to me. It's a little bit weird. This here is the start of the proof. A lot of people and stories keep pushing that Captain Marvel is breaking all kinds of records. This is from Box Office Mojo. Captain Marvel had the 28th biggest opening weekend in North America. It did not break any exceptional records. Okay, now it did have the 6th biggest opening worldwide if you don't count inflation. But if you look at North America and you look at inflation, it's only number 28. Okay, this isn't the 2nd biggest film ever. It's not the 6th biggest film ever. It's the 28th biggest film ever. So that's the first part of why the theatres are empty. And here are the daily breakdowns for Captain Marvel's box office and the Infinity War box office. And this is the proof. This is exactly what happened. What you can see here are the number of theatres in North America that were used. And on the left-hand side there, you can see that there were 4,310 theatres for Captain Marvel. And there were 4,474 theatres for the Infinity War. There's nearly the same number of theatres were opened up. And obviously Captain Marvel didn't have anywhere near the opening Infinity War had, and doesn't have the box office that Infinity War has. So you can even see it broke down slightly more. Next to the theatres column is a per theatre dollar amount. They've just divided the gross by the number of theatres. You can see Captain Marvel, at the very best, first day, was making $14,000 per theatre, whereas Infinity War was making $23,000 per theatre. So Infinity War was making about twice as much money per theatre, which basically means that the Captain Marvel theatres were half full. That's it. There's no conspiracy here. It's not a case of Captain Marvel's making less money than it actually made. It's that the absolute massive number of theatres that were opened in North America is why they are in fact empty. And this proves that they are empty. So anyone saying that they're not empty and it's a conspiracy, no, they're empty. The numbers here clearly show that the theatres have about half as many people in them as Infinity War had. And I'm guessing Infinity War had them packed. So Captain Marvel has them, on average, on the opening day, half full, using just these figures here. So there's no conspiracy. This doesn't mean Captain Marvel has more box office being reported than it really has. No. Captain Marvel was only the 28th best opening film in North America, but it nearly had the same number of seats available as Infinity War. So they obviously thought there was going to be some big things here. I know the original reporting was that they thought Captain Marvel might have a $180 million opening. And they kind of hushed that up a little bit after Brie Larson's comments became very public. And they started saying that it might get a $100 or $120 million opening. But the beginning numbers that were published by a lot of, let's say, semi-credible places, where they were talking up a $180 million opening, which would be, you know, very large, it ended up getting $153 million, which is still large. Again, it's number 28th biggest, but they were talking up 180, and that might have not been as optimistic as they really thought it could be. If there's some people are saying 180, well, maybe they were really eyeing up 200, 220. I mean, look at the number of seats that they actually had available compared to Infinity War. They were looking for some sort of numbers pushing up to what Infinity War's North American numbers were. But anyway, that explains exactly what's happening. The theatres were empty. No one's lying about the actual theatres being empty. But at the same time, it's not a conspiracy that inflates Captain Marvel's box office proceeds. The theatres had to be half empty to get the numbers that were reported. To get the $153 million for the first weekend, the theatres couldn't have been full. If they were full, it would have made $300 million in the North American market. So That's really all there is to it. And obviously now, if the same number of seats are available, they'll start thinning out horribly. So if you just look, for example, down the very bottom on the left-hand side under Captain Marvel, if this is still accurate, and there still are, in fact, 4,310 theatres open in North America, well, you can see that the amount of money that they got on, I think it was Wednesday's amount, is $1,000 per theatre instead of $14,000 per theatre. Or in other words, on average, they have 1/14 of the number of people turning up that turned up when it was opened up on the first day, and they may have been half full on that day. So, or in other words, on average, they're about 1/28th full or 1/30th full. So yeah, they look empty because they are. That's how much money it's earning. The amount of money Captain Marvel is earning is not horribly abnormal for a big film. It's after a week and a bit, nearly 2 weeks. But it does have an abnormally large number of theatres open for what it did. So I think that explains it all. And thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.